What up, guys? Today we have a question from Joe, who is a relatively new black belt and got promoted a few months back. Congratulations, Joe, and welcome to the club. And he's also been a gym owner for 2 years. And he says that in the 2 years that he's owned his gym, his students have made progress by leaps and bounds. They've got so much better. He's pumped about that. He says the gym's coming along nicely, too, as far as the business goes, which, again, happy about that. 2 good things. But, you knew there was going to be a but, right? That's why I asked the question. But he says, quote, I feel that my own progress has slowed down significantly due to the time invested in running a business, teaching classes, and trying to be the best coach I can for my students. Chewy, what are some tips or advice that you can give as a gym owner to continue to make progress in their own training while still providing high quality instruction? It's a great question, bro. So this is a question I think will happen or will come to every gym owner who is very focused on making their gym successful, both in the ability to teach and build up their students and actually run a successful business, right? And I think it's a really tough one because you are playing that balancing act, right? Think about like your jiu-jitsu game. Think about as you move into one area, what happens to other areas in your jiu-jitsu game. So like, for instance, if I was getting ready for a competition, I'm going to get laser focused on my A game, my takedowns, my guard passing, the submissions that I use, that kind of stuff, right? Now, we inherently know that as I do that, other areas of my game are not going to be as sharp, right? I won't be as sharp in maybe my guard sweeps or maybe my submissions from the bottom because I'm focused on my top game more, right? That's okay. It's an exchange for that time. But then maybe something's coming up and I'm like, I need to work on my submission defense, right? Okay, well, let me move in that direction. Maybe I have an EBI match coming up. So maybe I need to be in those overtime rounds more where I'm working on my defense from arm bars and back. Well, maybe my takedowns don't need as much focus because people are probably going to sit guard, right? Again, we focus on one area depending on what the situation calls for. And we inherently know that, some things are going to suffer. Now, if I go back and start focusing on my guard passing, my guard sweeps are never going to be back to the baseline level as a white belt, right? But they're still not going to be as sharp as they could be. We make that exchange and we're okay with it. And that's what you have to think about right now because you've basically combined your life, your hobby, your passion into your business, and it's all like one thing with jiu-jitsu, right? And when you do that, there are going to be seasons to this thing. Right? And you're going to move into one direction for one season, another direction for another season. For the last 2 years, you've been in the season of building a business, developing your students, developing your teaching ability. That's a good thing because you need to develop your teaching ability so that you can be the best coach you can for your students. And you need to run a successful business because people will come to depend upon your gym for reasons that you will probably have never thought of. Later on, I can tell you this from experience from running this place or being a part of running this place since 2009, right? People, and we all know watching this, when you come to feel like you're a part of a gym, you're a part of a community, and what it brings into your life is far more than simply just rolling around with sweaty people in heavy cotton gis or spandex, right? So with that said, you have to run a successful business because if not, the business will fall apart and the gym that you created will go. You will not have it to support you nor support your students. So you made the right decision. But when you did that, you made an agreement, whether you knew it or not, that your training was going to suffer a little bit because you had to develop new skills. You had to develop new ideas for teaching. And there's so much, it's overwhelming in the beginning, right, bro? But now you're here. So now things are starting to come back up. The gym's going well. The students are going okay. They're building up and everything else. So now you can say, you know what? I feel like this part of my game, this weakness that I had has been built up to a certain amount, just like your jiu-jitsu game. You know what? I'd like to go back over here for a while and focus on this. And you can do that, right? You can begin to focus on your jiu-jitsu training and your jiu-jitsu game a little bit more because this area is going. It's almost like spinning plates, right? You're just balancing act. You get the plates spinning, right? If you guys have ever seen someone where they get all these plates around them spinning, you get one plate spinning, and then they get another one going. The hardest part is getting the sucker spinning. Once it's spinning, they just touch. They can just go around and touch them, right? The same idea. You got the business plate, the teaching plate spinning. Now, you can always give it a little attention. You can always build it up, but you got it. Now you can come back to this training for yourself. So what do you do now? Well, the problem that you're going to run into, Joe, is that you don't have the luxury anymore of showing up to your class, turning your brain off, and having your coach just show you stuff. You gave that luxury up when you became the head coach and the gym owner. You now have to put a lot more effort, put forth a lot more effort to focus on something. Now, that focus could come from a coach or an affiliation head if you have one. You could say, hey, guys, you could tell them, hey, I need help. I have some guys that do that. They'll send me messages and we'll talk. Or when they come in town, we'll roll and we'll give them some things to focus on. So you could do that. You could reach out to your coach. Or you could simply do something like what I do. I sit down and every week I have a little desk set up in my office, and every week, right around the same time every week, I sit down at that desk, and that desk is only for studying jiu-jitsu. I'm big on environments and I'm big on place, right? And so every time I sit at the desk, I'm in that mindset. This is my study desk for jiu-jitsu. I flip on jiu-jitsu matches and I watch matches. I watch instructionals, whatever it might be. I take notes and I look for things to focus on, either for myself, maybe for one of my students, whatever it might be. It's just that thing, and sort of remembering to bring in some new stuff into my game that I can play with so I can still feel like I'm making progress. The other thing to consider is that with those people that you're training right now, those students, you can include them in part of this because they're going to want to help you. It's a simple fact, right? If you take care of people, they want to take care of you. And so as you're taking care of these people and they're coming up, they're going to want to be supportive of you. They're going to want to help support you. Maybe you're getting ready for a competition, or maybe you say, hey guys, listen, I just need to get back in shape. So when I roll with you guys, I'm going to roll with 2 or 3 of you guys each round to have more fresh opponents. I mean, this is what I did with some of these guys back in the day, right? These are all black belts. When they were blue belts and stuff like that, a lot of times I'd have them Shark Tank me before competitions or when I was trying to push myself or before MMA fights. Later on they became black belts and we could just go one-on-one and, they could give me a hell of a roll. And again, I trained my training partners, right? And so you can do the same thing and understand that they're going to want to be a part of it. I mean, these guys would tell you, they were there with me through my MMA fights, through some of my biggest jiu-jitsu wins, and they were a part of that, right? So again, your students are going to want to help you, and you can use them to help you out as well, right? You're taking care of them with the best instruction, and then you use them to help support you as far as your training goes. Now, the last thing that I just want to sort of share this with you is that you got your focus, you got your training, maybe you go back to you get your game sharpened up, you get back into shape, that whole thing. Understand that the seasons will shift, and there may be times where you need to get back to your business for a while. Maybe there's some new things going on, got to focus on this for a little bit. Well, now we got a competition coming up. I got to get my students ready. Oh, hey, I just got a super fight match. I need some help, guys. I got to get ready. These are just going to shift. There is no such thing as harmonious balance. You're simply just moving back and forth, and you're balancing depending on what is happening, right? It's a balancing act, but you have to balance to whatever the situation calls for, right? You can't say, well, hey, I have to only do this so many hours, and even though the situation calls for this, I can't do it because I'm remaining in balance, right? You have to move, adjust, depending on what the season calls for. So, Joe, thanks for the question, brother. Hopefully that helps you out with it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.